Show me the money.
Just looking good, but I think I'm taking too long.
Back with the spot for a Glock. I took a loss over floss, but still got a knock.
Money! Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that?
All right, show me the money. NFL picks for Week 13 are here. We are now into the month of December. Joining me today, he made his debut on the podcast last year. His team is doing much better this year. Joey Castellano is back on the line. Joey, how are you?
Hey, Mike. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Nah, I'm glad to have you on here. Obviously, you're a Viking fan. They had a interesting game against New England on Thanksgiving. What's your big takeaway from the Thanksgiving comeback victory they had?
The big takeaway is Kirk Cousins in prime time getting a W. That's the big takeaway. It's been a fun year to say the least. A little stressful, but they're actually pulling out the W's this year. Versus last time we were talking last year, it was all the opposite. I guess we could say there was all late end of the game losses. Where now they're seeing the W's this year, which is kind of nice. So we'll see how the rest of the year goes. But Kirk Cousins getting the primetime W though. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, it's quite rare for Kirk Cousins. Usually when he goes on the prime time, he turns to a pumpkin.
Yeah, it's usually 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins is like the Hall of Fame quarterback, and anything 4 p.m., 8 p.m., Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it is, it's the opposite. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you mentioned here, I mean, they are the kings of the close games. I mean, they've won, I think, like almost all their games except for, I think, one by like one possession here. And the crazy thing is, like, they're 9-2. They're running away with the NFC North. They're going to be able to clinch it in a week or two. And they've only outscored their opponents like 5 points all season. So my question to you is, if somebody who's watching this team every week or as close to as possible, like, how good are they?
So I was actually going to bring that up to you, that they're the only team in history that were the lowest point differential in history as a 9-2 team. So it does show that they're staying in close games. I mean, my heart rate's goes up every Sunday, and I probably lose a few years off my life. But overall, I think it has been an up down in the sense of that, like in the game itself. But I mean, then we leave with the W, so it is nice to be on the top of the standings for once and not looking up at the Packers. It's actually enjoyable to see them kind of struggle here and there. Aaron Rodgers and the whole team just completely. I'm hoping that it's the end and we kind of take the next seed, or the Lions or whoever. But I mean, because the Lions look like they're up and coming too. But overall, the Vikings this year, it's been looking pretty good. I mean, Justin Jefferson's amazing. Like that catch he made versus the Bills is probably the best catch I've ever seen. Not even being biased as a Vikings fan. I mean, it makes them look that much better. But that was. I mean, Justin Jefferson's been MVP status. The defense has been holding its own, and like I said, we've been able to hold on in the fourth quarter and closing out these games. The secondary is a little shaky. I think that's the weak point, where getting a couple injuries here and there. Our rookies are getting hurt. But overall, the secondary, I'd say, is the weakness right now, which makes me a little nervous, especially for this week that we'll get into. But yeah, it's the stars are looking pretty good on offense, so hopefully we just keep putting up points. I mean, it'd be nice to not be in a shootout or in a late scenario game for once, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it might be in for one of those against the Jets on Sunday here. Because I think it's an interesting matchup here because obviously this Jet team's good on the road. They have presumably more stability quarterback Mike White. But I think the one thing that makes that challenge to the Vikings that they actually have the two guys. They have a dynamic quarterback duo of DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner who can potentially slow down Justin Jefferson. It seems like the key is like whenever they have lost games here, been really tight ones. Like Jefferson's been pretty much contained.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I kind of feel like this game. I mean, spread Vegas thinks it's going to be close. I mean, it's only 3. I think so too. I think the Vikings will. I think the Vikings will be able to score on those second. I mean, Jets defense was great, and Sauce Gardner's the future probably, but I think the Vikings will be able to score a little bit. Like I said, though, I think that it's going to be I think the Jets will be scoring on them too. I think the secondary, like I said, Garrett Wilson's looking really good. And I mean, I don't know what do you think of Mike White? Let's kind of want to hear your opinion.
I think for me, I don't know if he's a long-term guy, but I think he gives them the best chance to win right now, and he's operating the offense the way it's supposed to be operated, which I think is a big key for them doing well.
yeah, and you take that win, you kind of try to build off it. And I mean, this is definitely the test for him this week. Playing a 9-2 team, it'll definitely, show, I guess, the Jets where he is.
Yeah, I think the key for the Vikings, honestly, is not going to be as much Jefferson. I think if they can get Dalvin Cook in open space, has had issues tackling this year. I feel like Dalvin Cook has to have a big game for them to win this game against the Jets.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely think they need to get Dalvin Cook involved. And usually when he gets involved is when the offense starts moving really well. I do think that is the key to moving the ball, especially with the Jets. I mean, they have a tough defense. I'm a little nervous with the secondary. Like you were talking about, I'm kind of nervous that it is 1 p.m., so maybe Cousins will be that Hall of Fame quarterback caliber, but it does worry me that, like, sometimes they go 3-0, they get stopped, and then they'll score the first drive of the game, and you won't see anything the rest of the game. And I hope it's not, for my sake, I hope it's not one of those type of games. But I do ultimately think that both teams will be scoring in this game.
Oh, yeah, bet the over.
Yeah, that's what I'm hinting at now. Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess if we're talking about gambling, then yeah, I'd probably look at the over in this one. But yeah, I'll get into all that stuff when we go through the picks.
Yeah, speaking of the picks, let's talk about where things stand here. Our softball teammate Phil Ferreira was here last week on the picks. He went 1-2. His one win was with your Vikings. He had them laying the 3 against the Pats. Yeah, it was a good job by him. He had the Bills laying the 9 on Thanksgiving. They lost. He had the Seahawks laying the 4 at home against the Raiders. They lost in overtime. So 1-2 for Phil.
So Phil's only win was with the Vikings. Let's go.
Yeah. Speaking of, I also went 1-2 last week. My only one was also the Vikings. We agree on that one. We love against the Patriots. I had the Cowboys laying the 8.5 at the backdoor cover from the Giants. I lost that one. I had the Titans getting a point at home against the Bengals. So I was in a good spot there. It was not. So 1-2. So the only 2 wins last week were the Minnesota Viking wins.
I liked the Giants last week. I thought that was too many points. But it did come down to that backdoor cover, which that's why it was the number. But yeah, and I liked the Titans a lot last week too. I thought they were definitely going to win, but I guess the Bengals are turning it around from that slow start at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, so it's not been great on this part of the podcast. I think the Teen Challengers is 16, 19, and 1. I'm 14 and 22. So running out of time to get things turned around.
You got a couple weeks left. Maybe string a couple 3-0s.
Yeah, let's see if we can both go 3-0 here. Make some exciting here. So, as the guys, you can go first. Where are you going with pick number 1?
Pick number 1, I'll stay on topics what we've been talking about. And since I'm on a Jets podcast, I think I got to go with my Minnesota Vikings laying the 3. Like we talked about last 10 minutes or so, I do think there's going to be a lot of scoring, but I think ultimately the Vikings will win either by hopefully more than the 3, 4, or 5 points. Hopefully somehow it gets to that. But I do think I'm going to take them laying the 3.
Yeah, I have no argument against that. To me, it's like the number is perfect. I have no interest in touching that game. I'm fine letting you go there. I will not go on the journey with you.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to stay close, but I hopefully they can stay over the 3.
All right, that's pick number 1. Are you going with pick 2?
All right, so pick number 2, I'm going to take the Falcons, which they were home dogs, and it switched today, so now they're -1. But I'm going to take them at home versus the Steelers. The reason why I'm looking at this is Steelers coming off that big Monday Night Football win, dominating the Colts, who aren't really looking too hot this year. And also, I just like the Falcons in this spot. I think it's a good spot for them at home. With Steelers have a big game on deck after this, and whether they're in last place, the Ravens are in last place, they're going to be going up against Baltimore. I don't remember if it's in Baltimore or Pittsburgh, but either way, it's a big game for them that they're probably marked on their calendars from the start of the year. I think this might be just one of those games they just don't really look into so much. It's a non-conference opponent, so I do like the Falcons at home in the spot, and they lost the last few, so they need to turn it around here.
I like this pick as well. I didn't take it, but I do like the logic, especially because you feel like a young team getting a big win like that, going on the road the following week, kind of short week, and Atlanta's a good home team. Atlanta can run the ball. Those are things that can play very well in a game like this.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the Steelers' defense is tough. That's the only thing that worries me a little bit, but like I said, it's the spot, I think, is Falcons.
All right, let's pick 2. We're going with your last pick of the week.
My last pick of the week, is I'm going with another, was supposed to be a short dog and turned into a line swap, and now the Raiders are -1. And I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. This one's just pretty straight up. Vegas is home, division rival. Chargers are one of those teams that's pretty banged up right now. They currently are in the playoff spot, but I think the Raiders, the record isn't really showing how good they've been playing. They've kind of just fell on the short end of a lot of games this year. And I think they're probably a little bit better than what their record says. And I think Chargers banged up. I'll take the home dog, or it was supposed to be a short dog, but now they're -1. But I'll still take them. I'll take the Las Vegas Raiders as a -1 favorite now.
I also love this pick because I do like the fact that, betting against the Chargers on the road is always a phenomenal take for me, and I do think that Josh Jacobs running the ball the way he is against LA's run defense, I think is a great recipe for success.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that's a good factor into it. Josh Jacobs needs to be the bell cow in this one. I like Devontae Adams. And like I said, the Chargers are pretty banged up right now, so I think the defense, the Raiders defense can hold up the Chargers offense. I think it's not, 100%, and hopefully we can just get the win at home and move on.
All right, that's your picks. I'm on the board now. Pick number 1. I don't know why I'm going in this game, but I have a strong feeling about it. I'm taking the Lions getting a point at home against the Jaguars here. I think there's similar like you have with the Steelers against Atlanta. The Jaguars going on the road as favorites makes no sense to me. You have that big win against Baltimore. I could see this being, essentially a young team. They have a big rivalry game against Tennessee the following week. They have to both match the Titans. They say, oh, we can win the division if we, get hot and run this out here. Detroit's playing well. Detroit's had extra rest at Thanksgiving. I'm getting a point at home. I love it. Give me the Lions +1 for my first pick.
I actually love that pick too, Mike. That was actually one of the ones I was looking at. I feel like the Lions aren't really getting a lot of respect, and I think the Jaguars coming off that win last week, a lot of hype around them, and I think all those points you said, I think the Lions aren't really getting a lot of respect, especially at home.
Yeah, that's pick number 1 here. Pick number 2. Rebound spot for the Seahawks here, laying 7 against a very depleted Rams team. They're down Matthew Stafford, they're down Cooper Kupp, they're down Allen Robinson, Aaron Donald's out in this game. I know they're going to LA. They're laying 7 here, and then Seattle to get the ship together. This is going to be the spot. I know it's a risk not having the hook or getting on 6.5, but I think it's a double-digit win for Seattle to get back on track. I think the Seahawks laying 7, pick 2.
This is another one I like, Mike. You can't even take points with the Rams right now. All their stars are out. I think Donald's out. The Kupp and Stafford are still out. You can't even think about looking at that.
Yeah, that was an easy one for me. Pick number 3. I feel like it's time to go back to the Giants here. They're getting 2.5 at home against the Commanders, a game they really have to win because they have a lot of tough opponents coming up here. I think Washington, is getting a tad overrated because they're running. Yes, they did beat the Eagles. The other 4 teams they've beaten here on this run are combined 17, 39, and 1. So I don't know how good they are beating good teams. The Giants, extra rest. They're getting guys back. They should be getting some of the injured guys, particularly the offensive line back. That will help. And I think home dog for the Giants, I like this year. I think they do circle the wagons, get the win they need here to keep their season afloat here. I'm getting 2.5 points to boot. So give me the Giants to wrap up the week.
I was looking the other way on this one. I kind of like the Commanders going into the bye week strong. Then they leave the bye week and play the Giants again in 2 weeks. So I was actually kind of looking at the Commanders to come into New York and finish it out strong right before their bye week, especially versus a division rival. But hey, you brought up some good points too, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens here. So the picks of the week, Joey's taking his Vikings, laying 3 at home against the Jets. The Falcons laying 1 at home against Pittsburgh, and the Raiders laying 1 at home against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm taking the Lions, home dog, +1 against the Jaguars. Seattle laying 7 on the road against the Rams. And the New York Football Giants getting 2.5 at home against the Washington Commanders. So those are your picks for week number 13 here on the podcast. Come next week, I'm going to be joined by a good friend of mine, Sandra, to talk about the Jaguars. So obviously, I'm going to probably get some heat for taking the Lions this game. But, we'll see how that goes. And Joey, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it, man.
All right, Mike, thanks for having me. If you ever want me to come back on, I'm always here.
Hey, the Vikings are in the playoffs. Might need to get you back and do some playoff picks.
Yeah, I will do. Hopefully I come back with a 3-0 start.